So good morning students. Today we will look at the control unit design for multi-cycle data path. Previous class we looked at the way in which multi-cycle data path works. It executes a stage of execution in one clock cycle. So this is your control unit. Please spend some time and have a look at the control unit signal names. PC write control, I or D, memory read, memory write, and so on. So you must clearly understand when these control lines will be asserted and deasserted. And moreover, some control lines are multi-bit values. For example, if you look at this multiplexer, this has got 3 inputs. So naturally, the control line must have 2 inputs. Only then you can select one among the 3. So this control line is going to be a 2-bit control line. Likewise, the ALU operation is again a multi-bit control line and so on. So have a look at the control lines, what will be their values, etc. That's an important thing for you to understand. Now, if you look at the way our multi-cycle data path works, it can be represented as a state machine. So fetch state, you are going to access register states, ALU execution. Then again, after writing back the result, you are coming back to the fetch of the next instruction. So this is a state machine view, a finite state machine, just like your in finite automata, you have finite state machines, each state and then transition from one state to the other. So every state is doing a particular action in a given clock cycle. So they will require all the control lines properly defined for their action. For example, fetch instruction state. These are the control lines required because I or D should be 0 because this is going to be an instruction. Memory read is asserted because you are reading instruction memory, or there is no notion of instruction memory. We have only one memory here. So reading the memory, then writing the instruction register is 1. So ALU source and ALU source B are given, set as given respective values. Then ALU operation is add because this is an add instruction, and PC source, PC write. So while instruction fetching itself, you are also decoding it and generating the necessary control signals for the subsequent clock cycles. So next you need to access the register file. So register file, no control signals are required because the register number to be read, everything will be ready by the end of this read. So just no control signals are required, and then you are going to the ALU, and these are the ALU requirement. So in the previous case, you may be thinking, see here ALU source B is set as 1. This is for doing PC plus 4. This has nothing to do with this add instruction. So this stage is going to be the same for all instruction fetch. Now the specific operation for ALU as specified by the add is happening in the 3rd clock cycle. So here you are setting PC source as 1, PC write conditional, and PC write. Okay, then you're going to write result, mem to reg is 0, reg write is 1, register destination is 1. So likewise, you can see the change in control signals for each of the clock cycle. Now this is actually implemented as a state machine where your input, next state logic will be there, and then you get the output. Again, this output will go to the input of the next state control logic, and it goes on. Now let us see how this state machine is represented. What are the notational conventions used? So enable control lines. Asserted. True is a state if they appear in the state bubble. If this is the state bubble, okay. If they are true in the asserted, true in a state if they appear in the state bubble. If they are asserted, this is enabled. multiplexer signal is enabled. That means at this state you are controlling these two control lines. assumed deasserted if it is they do not appear in the state bubble. So this is a state bubble. If some control lines you will not see here, that means they are false. For example, mem to reach, register destination, etc. are not shown here. That means they are deasserted. So asserted with a given value for multiplexer and ALU control signals. So mem to read is asserted, and I or D has a value 0 or 1, which is also given. So this is okay. Then you can refer the textbook figures. So transition from previous state goes to the current state, and then it goes to the next state, unconditional, and state name will also be given. So this is the way we represent control signals. Now let us see what is the representation for instruction phase. You are starting the execution. You are going to this state where all these control signals are asserted. From this state you are going to the instruction decode and register phase state. From there are different paths based on the instruction that you have decoded. If the decoded instruction is a load word or stored word, you take this state diagram. If it is an R-type, you take this path. Likewise it goes, and finally everybody completes their execution, and again you are coming back to the instruction phase. So this completes like a loop forever, and all the instructions of your program will get executed. So this is the state for load store. So from this onwards I will not explain anything. You have to spend time and understand. This is from state 1. This is your state 1. From here you are exploring this path. So spend some time on this and understand how it works, and you should be able to draw or reproduce the same control signals for a given cycle in the multi-cycle data path. This is for R-type instruction. Pause the video and have a look at this. Jump branch. Now with this we will stop. So the questions that can be asked from this slide is, they will ask you what is the control signal value in the third clock cycle for an R-type instruction. What is the control value for fourth cycle in the case of an load word stored word instruction. Such questions you can expect. So with that we will conclude. If you have any doubts you can ask. The implementation of this control unit will be discussed in the next class. Okay. Thank you.